Hey guys, Adam here with my YouTube channel, Up and Adam to Create, and my food blog, healthythairecipes.com. So if you follow me, maybe you know we have this food blog where my wife and I have been cooking because that's what Thai people love to do a lot of the time. And we have been trying to rehab a lot of her native recipes that she brought when her mom sent her to cooking school before she immigrated to the United States. So, in a super exciting development, I found a dietitian that is willing to do an interview and answer some of my burning questions and some of the obstacles and problems we've been trying to solve, which are going to be ongoing forever, I guess, as we try to stay fit and new research comes out and whatnot. So, anyways, her name is Kelsey Butler, and I will put on the video now. Sorry, the audio quality is not ideal. I lost my microphone, which I have on now, which is way better. So I'll do better in the future. But anyways, I'll put the question and answer in text on our blog, healthythairecipes.com, and then I'll post this video on the YouTube channel, which you may be watching now. And so you can use both of them and enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions, and we can maybe do a follow-up with her, and I can put them in the description and in the blog. Otherwise, just let me know what you think. Thanks. All right, here we go. Okay, cool. So I guess I'll introduce myself and then introduce you.
Sure.
And then I'll give my background and you can give your background. Okay.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm Adam Shed with my YouTube channel, Up and Adam to Create, and this is Kelsey Butler. I said it right. Registered dietitian I found on the Mediavine group for bloggers like me. So I have healthythairecipes.com and I have my YouTube channel, and my wife Maud is in charge mostly of the Thai cooking, and she'll show up later. So I thought I could ask some questions for myself to Kelsey. So I guess, Kelsey, if you want to give your background.
Yeah, sure. Well, as Adam said, my name's Kelsey Butler. I'm a registered dietitian. I have a master's in clinical nutrition sciences, and I work with a lot of different health and fitness companies. I do one-on-one consulting, I do content creation, I do advising. So lots of different areas. But on the content side, I guess I write articles, I create recipes. I do some blogs and just some film content as well. So a little bit spread out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was interested in how I know you're helping out some other bloggers, and I was thinking like you can really like amplify your voice on the internet now, so it'll be interesting how like everybody's IQ goes up. So yeah, for myself, I am a physical therapist assistant, and I got into that because my dad's a bodybuilder, or he used to be, and so I always wanted to do that too. And I have like my own problems. I've always had a six pack, and since I started my professional career, kind of the same as my dad, it's really difficult to maintain the kind of discipline and diet and exercise. So I was going to ask you some questions, just kind of like that I have, and then yeah, I guess Maud, my wife, will get here in like 10 minutes, and then we can jump in on her Thai food. So I went ahead and emailed her the questions, Kelsey, earlier, so she was able to kind of like think about them. But so for one of them, I just got Noom for free with the hospital system I work for. And I was curious if you have any favorite apps and like what your thoughts are on apps that are helpful.
Yeah. So there's a few different apps that I like depending on what you need them for. For example, like just for kind of basic tracking, I honestly kind of like my Net Diary the most for this. I think that it allows you, it has so many different features for it. And like the past couple of years, I've worked a little bit nutrition tech. So I've worked in a lot of different done a lot of audits on different apps. So I've kind of worked with a lot of different apps, and I think my Net Diary kind of
Mine at Diary. Okay, I gotta
yeah
write that down. And I'll
yeah
put that
yeah
in the description on the the blog and
Yeah,
the YouTube.
definitely. I like that one. And also it's cool because you can save all of your recipes. I know you can do this on a lot of diet apps, but I just think it's like UX UI is very nice to use. It seems just really user friendly to me. And then for recipes, I really like Spoonful. If you've ever used that, you can organize by different cuisines. You can organize by dietary needs if you're low FODMAP or gluten-free or plant-based, whatever your dietary needs really are, if you have any, works really well for that too.
Yeah, so the FODMAP one is one I would be interested in. So for people that don't know what that is, it's like the low fermentation food diet. So I love Cliff Bars, but man, like, yeah, it gives me GI kind of
Mhm.
distress and gas and whatnot. So yeah, that's interesting, especially like when you're going in. Like we'll talk with my wife later about to like a foreign food where there's Thai food restaurants everywhere. So a lot of people, like my parents, are like, huh? They have no idea what to do, and so like yeah, that would be helpful to know, and then like in the supplement world and everything, it's so much to navigate. So
Mhm.
can you say that one more time? The name of the app, the
Yes, so Spoonful is the recipe one, and then
okay,
My Nut Diary is the
My Net Diary, like an internet diary.
yes, yeah,
Okay, okay.
uh, is
Have you
the
seen? Oh, sorry.
tracker. No, you're okay. Go ahead.
Have you seen Noom, the app?
I have. I've done a little bit of a deep dive on Noom. I think that it can be helpful for some. I think it kind of depends on what your needs are from a behavioral standpoint. It can be helpful. I think it also can. I don't know. It depends on, like I said, where you're at with what your personal needs are. Noom can have more of a negative behavioral effect, to be honest, in my professional opinion, just with kind of the way that it uh, advertises itself isn't quite exactly what it's doing. It says that it's a non-diet app, but it's very clearly a diet. Um, and I think with a lot of those kind of trending diets or a lot of the things that we use like specifically for weight loss, they're not very long term because, for example, you get a 1 year subscription to Noom, you follow it for a year, and then you're expected to either do Noom for the rest of however long that you're doing it, or you fall off and you once again kind of can fall into that cycle of losing a lot of the things that you had implemented there. And so instead, I would say the best thing you can do is find ways to implement long-term sustainable changes rather than kind of limiting and restricting certain foods.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't even tried it or started it yet. I heard the advertisement says you can eat what you want, and like they
Mhm.
use artificial intelligence to like kind of hack your brain and make you more compliant. So yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, but a lot of the stuff, like I had the free subscription, and it was like a support group, kind of like
Mhm.
an online check-in and stuff. And so yeah, I don't know, I'll see, but I'm curious because I haven't really like found any like with weightlifting. I found some great apps like Strong Lifts 5x5 that I just keep my journal with, and actually like it. And Duolingo for Spanish, I feel like
Mhm.
the AI is getting to a point where it actually like hacks my motivation better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of level up. My Spanish has definitely leveled up, and then I think with my lifting and keeping track of where I'm at, it's a little better too.
For sure. Yeah, and I think, depending on the way that you'll want to use it, like Noom can be great, especially from the community standpoint. If you work well with building that community, that's amazing. Like I think having that accountability is awesome. So if that's like something that you find helpful, that might be really helpful for you there.
Okay, super. So on to the next question. So supplements, I took a course, and my favorite undergrad courses were the nutrition courses. So I
Mhm.
took Intro to Nutrition. I just loved it. So I took Nutrition for Sport and Fitness because I was kind of personal training and doing that before I went in the physical therapy direction. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I was gonna ask you like what your favorite, if you have any favorite or any thoughts on that.
Yeah. So as far as supplements go, something that I find helpful, and sometimes people don't even think about this as a supplement, but protein powder, I think is a good supplement when it's used just as that. And this goes for all supplements under the sun. We want to focus on the food aspect first and then use supplement as just that, as a supplement. So for example, like protein powder, say that you're trying to get 150 grams of protein per day.
Wow.
I would prefer you get, maybe that's your goal, whatever your goal is.
Yeah. It's
This
been
is
my
just
goal before.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're getting from your meals maybe 130 grams, you'll get a 20 gram scoop of protein on top of that. I think that's a great way to use protein powder as a supplement. And that goes for all, if you're using a multivitamin, if you're using fish oil, if you're using any kind of supplement that you are wanting to use. I think as long as you're focusing on food first, you can incorporate those. Like, for example, I meet with a lot of clients that use athletic greens or kind of those, a lot of like produce supplements. And I always want to ask, how much produce are you actually eating throughout the day? Because there's a good get if they're eating at least a serving of fruits and vegetables at each of their meals and snacks, they probably don't need the athletic greens on top of that. It's just an added bonus. Like, it's not going to hurt. But it might just be kind of a waste of money at that point because you're already getting not only the benefits that you would get from athletic greens, but you're also getting the fiber, the hydration, all the other good stuff that comes from fresh fruits and veggies.
Just fresh.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I probably don't do enough of those. So if I don't do those at all, like today I ate chicken nuggets and I ate a Laura bar,
Mhm.
which was like, I guess, like some dates and cashews.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess like in that case, would you recommend something like that supplement to kind of like yeah, because it's just very little. Yeah,
I would say let's start with food first. Like, why not incorporate an apple along with your
yeah. See,
protein bar?
that would be
And
realistic, or a banana, I guess.
yeah, exactly. Like any type of produce. And I think unfortunately in this day and age, like day and age, like fruit gets a bad rap sometimes. Fruit is amazing. I don't know why. I think a lot of people say it's really high in like sugar, but it's totally fine. It's got a lot of fiber in there as well. So you can definitely incorporate fruit as just as much as veggies. So, if fruit is more realistic for you to incorporate rather than like, carrot sticks, that's totally fine. Go for the apple, go for a banana. But if you can also do the carrot sticks, that's awesome too.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see myself doing like carrot sticks and bananas or something. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And always just the biggest thing there is just to pair and always ask yourself, what can I add to this? Maybe you're having your Laura bar and you're like, okay, I want to add a banana to this. Or maybe you're having some chicken nuggets and you're like, okay, what can I put on the side of this to just add some color to this plate?
Okay. Yeah, the color. That's what my dad always says. Eat your colors for the,
Yeah, eat
because
the rainbow.
yeah, the vitamins and whenever you have colors, you have more nutrients in general.
Definitely.
So I have a question about creatine monohydrate. I don't know if you know the answer. So I've been taking it. That was like the one supplement when I took the course, like the Food and Drug Administration said there's adequate like research to support their claims or data
Mhm.
rather. So I've been taking it now for probably 6 months, and I don't know if I need to take a break from it or if like I've heard people say you can't quit suddenly because it will screw you up, and then you have to take
Mhm.
breaks and. But I don't know more specifically than that.
Yeah. So to be honest, when it comes to how to use creatine, the research is not very clear. The research behind it, its efficacy of it working is clear. Like it is supported that it can help you have more energy during your workouts. It can help you kind of max out on your workouts a little bit better. So I think that, if it's okay to stop, like you don't have to like phase out. But I would recommend, honestly, if you want to take a break, see how you're feeling throughout your workouts. If your energy is a lot lower, you can always start again. But you might find that it doesn't make a huge difference for you. So it could be helpful just to kind of see where that's at because it is different for each person too, kind of how it reacts in your body.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of the way I've done it, is kind of feel it out along the way.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
There's another supplement I was going to ask you about. Our next door neighbor is a toxicologist. We go to the gym with her a
Mhm.
lot, and she's on CLA. So I looked up like a meta-analysis and a systematic review. And then for what I've learned from like researching physical therapy data, you look for like a confidence interval of 95% or greater on like a
Mhm.
meta-analysis. So there actually was that. But I found it for other things that were kind of debunked later. So I was just curious if you have an opinion on CLA.
I don't have a huge opinion on it. I'll say I haven't done tons of research on it, but honestly, that might be saying something. The fact that it's not a huge proponent in what I would recommend. From that standpoint, though, I really am more of like a food first kind of person when it comes to my approach towards nutrition, whereas supplements kind of come second. So I would be interested to see that research, because I think even with that interval, you always have to look at other things part of research as well, like limitations. You want to look at sample size. You want to look at the year that it was written. So there's a lot of other parts of that research too that can kind of help to tell you exactly what's going on there.
Okay, yeah, I was telling her like the one that I got that she ordered has branched chain amino acids, and that was
Mhm.
exactly what they said in the class. It was like you can get that from food. You don't really need to spend that money on
Yeah.
on that the like hype and marketing is basically kind of like what it was. Can you see us? My wife just got here. I don't think the camera's connected.
Yeah, I can't see you, but
Okay, I'm gonna
I
see if
hear
I
you.
unplug my extra if it
That's okay.
allows, and then she just got here. So. Okay, so now it's connected to, not connected to. Okay, are you able to see us now or no or
Not yet.
no?
Oh,
It's
no, not yet.
gonna play with this a second. Okay, so I guess but we've got the audio, so I guess we'll just have to like make do with that.
That's all good.
Uh, okay, so like we were talking about earlier, we just kind of went over some like general like nutrition and our favorite apps, and then um, like how to adjust like with my fast food diet when I'm out and about seeing home health patients and like adding some fruit and stuff. So then, Maud is here. Say hi, Maud.
Hi.
So Maud is my
Hello.
wife. So healthythairecipes.com is our blog. We met in 2008, and you know, Thailand is a food country. Let's everybody hears about Thai food and going out for Thai. And so, yeah, she started cooking amazing food when we were dating. And then I was like, oh,
Mhm.
this is an opportunity to use my web development skills and make a blog and then like record like whatever we come up with and then share it with the world. So then actually Maud is a physical therapist assistant too, and she actually had an assignment that was like, if you're like, she had like three presentation options, and one of them was like if you have a patient from another country, and this is one of the questions on the email that you know we were going to talk about was like, so how would you like politely for my mother-in-law, for example, if she makes something and it's like delicious, but it has some like horrible ingredients.
Mhm.
Like if you had a client, do you have like a way that you tend to politely handle that? Or
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple things you can do. The first thing is always focus on the positive in these situations rather than the negative. So, what that means is kind of focusing on what you can add to this rather than what you need to take away. Because it's the same, like, whenever you tell anyone anything that what they're doing is negative, it can
Mhm.
come off as, you know, it can hurt, or they can get defensive, or however that looks like to that person. So the best thing you can do is actually offer the positive of, hey, you know what would be really good with this food? It's also has these benefits. So focusing on that positive aspect of certain things rather than looking at the negative downside of, oh, you shouldn't be using this ingredient because it's this bad. Instead, you know, I would love to try this with this ingredient because it's higher in fiber. So maybe, you know, I would love to try this with brown rice. It's like would increase the fiber. It'd be great. And the flavor might change too, which might be a good thing. So kind of looking at it that way rather than looking at what you need to take away can just be better for mindset, encouragement, and just finding that, you know, mutual ground of seeing that person where they're at too.
cool, yeah, we have some. You can't see. I was hoping I could show the products that I found that actually
Mhm.
have some buckwheat ramen noodles
Oh, cool.
because we always have ramen noodles around, and I was doing exactly that. I was like trying to take away instant noodles. They're so fast, and you don't have to do dishes, and
Hmm.
you can like throw away all the packaging when you're done, and like it's like ready like from the microwave, so easy to prepare. So I don't know about buckwheat. I looked on the ingredients and I've always told Maud the way I learned it was like when it says whole grain, don't really like trust it. Look on the ingredients and make sure like
Mhm.
the first ingredient actually says like whole grain. This one it says buckwheat ramen. So in the first ingredient it says buckwheat raw.
Yeah.
It's buckwheat. So that's whole grain.
Yeah,
Would you think?
that's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, buckwheat is an awesome whole grain. It's a great ancient grain.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So my questions for let's see, for like the glass noodle, like that kind like clear noodle, and it's say
Mhm.
made from mung bean starch. What do you think about like a vegetable starch? It's like is it still like high carbs,
Mhm.
refined, or
So they're going to be more of a starchy food there, and I think that's okay to incorporate. It the main thing that we're looking at when we're looking at starches is fiber content as well. I'm not 100% sure the fiber content of the glass noodles or of like a mung bean starch because what comes with refinement is lower fiber. So the more
mm-hmm.
refined, the lower the fiber. Um, so I would want to check the nutrition label for that one just to see how much fiber is in there. But just because the fiber might be low on that ingredient doesn't mean that you shouldn't have it. That just means that
Okay.
you have the opportunity to pair it with higher fiber things. So that means you could throw some extra veggies into that dish. You can have a
Uh-huh.
side salad with it. So finding ways to balance it out with more fiber, more protein, more fat is totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And one more thing that I always fight with my mom,
Mhm.
it's the coconut milk.
Mm.
I been reading and it said like the fatty from coconut milk, it's a healthy fat. But then my mom's like we growing up and then she's like, don't eat too much coconut milk. It's like it's gonna make you big.
Mhm.
So now like I'm like battling with her and she's
Mhm.
trying not to let me eat like curry with coconut milk in it. So is it like true that it's a good fat that doesn't gonna have any like side effect for your heart in the future? Like,
Mhm.
what do you think about coconut milk?
Good question. So coconut milk is kind of one of those funky uh, plant-based fats because it does have it is a I believe a medium chain saturated fatty acid. And I'm not quite sure if I'm 100% right on that. But with that being said, it is a saturated fat, which kind
Mm-hmm.
of falls into the category of animal and dairy fats.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't ever have it. Because coconut milk does have a lot of other benefits as well. It's like really great for skin and hair, really great for nails. Like it's an awesome ingredient. So
Mm-hmm.
and it has a lot of great vitamins and minerals as well. So I would say finding balance with that. Really, it's just one of those things you want to have in moderation and make sure that, you can incorporate it into your meals. That's totally fine. And just making sure that, you are eating it in a good portion size because that's one of those things that is really nutrient dense. So it is going to be one of those higher calorie foods, but in moderation and when mixed with other things, it can be balanced out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, do you know anything about brown sugar
Um,
compared to like our regular cane sugar?
Mhm. Yeah, so brown sugar is just like regular cane sugar in terms of like nutrient wise. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like same calories, same glucose content, same sugar content. No difference really. The only reason that it's brown is because it has been less refined, so it still has molasses in it, whereas sugar cane has just been more refined, or cane sugar has just been more refined and is whiter.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, same,
Cool.
same.
Sims.
Yeah.
All right. And another question is for oil.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. Do you think, well, if you have to choose, from olive oil, sunflower seeds oil,
Mm-hmm.
peanut oil, canola, and vegetable oil. So, hang on, 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is the best one, like healthy wise?
It does depend on what you're cooking. So
Mm-hmm.
for foods that you're cooking at a high temp, I would honestly
Mm-hmm.
say canola oil, because it has a high smoking temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's lower, less likely to smoke. So canola oil is great for that. As far as like colder foods or low temp foods, I really like olive oil.
Olive
That's just
oil.
one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I like to use it for that. But the other oils are fine as well. Like if you want to use
Yeah.
peanut oil in certain cooking, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. So I think it depends on the flavor you're going for and exactly what you're cooking. But as far as health wise, all of those plant oils will have omega 6s for the most part, which are great.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
those are those are good in moderation. Again, those are again nutrient dense foods, so higher calorie, but in moderation, they're still
Mm-hmm.
great. But personally, I like to use olive oil for most of my cooking. I find that oil is just expensive overall, so I usually just get one thing.
Yeah, same. Yeah, mostly use olive oil. I would
Mhm.
love to try avocado oil, just like way too expensive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And avocado oil is one of those ones I believe that has a lower smoking temp, so I would just be careful with cooking with it in certain situations.
Huh. That might be a good choice to make like a salad dressing.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be really good in a salad dressing.
So, oh, for the smoke, for the low smoke temp, like, because I burned things before when I just kind of like ad lib a recipe.
hmm
So I guess that what does that cause? Like, if you burn stuff, is it like a carcinogen or so? Is that the
Yeah,
big?
it can be. It can cause carcinogens in certain foods, and especially if you burn the food itself, it can cause some carcinogens. a, a little bit at a time isn't going to be a big issue, especially if you're eating your fruits and veggies because you get lots of antioxidants.
Yeah.
But over time, if you're like consistently burning your food and eating that, it can cause some issues.
Okay. What about canola oil? What do you think? Is it a good like we've
Yeah,
been using it?
I just asked
Oh,
you
you just
that.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
canola oil is
sorry.
great. That's okay.
Yeah, I had a call I had to go answer from one of my coworkers, but yes.
No.
What about coconut cream as far as like, do you know much about it? I was gonna try to use it like, because I'm allergic to dairy,
hmm
like for a creamer or something to make like those good looking cappuccinos with like the little floral designs in it with the,
hmm
is it the same problem with coconut milk with the saturated fat or maybe it's gonna
Yeah, so it's similar, but again, in moderation, it's fine. I think they do have, if you want to do it like for coffees, they do have like a barista coconut milk specific that is easy to foam. I like to use it to be honest sometimes because sometimes I'm a little bit careful with my milk intake just from a lactose perspective. I don't always do well with it. Um, so I do like to use the like barista coconut milk in my coffees. But again, if you're thinking of it that from that sense, that's probably, a fourth cup of milk, maybe a half cup. And it's not going to be that big of an issue.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't even know about that, so I'm definitely gonna look that up. And
Yeah,
then
definitely.
like salt. So that's one problem that we've had, like where people are like, this recipe is horrible. Like, put some salt in your recipe. Like,
Mhm.
do you have like a go-to that you use for that? Especially like with Asian, like I don't know what you would do.
Yeah, yeah. So a little bit of salt is okay. Like I would say, a fourth, a half to even 1 teaspoon per like serving is okay. It can be a little overwhelming, especially if you don't have tons of salt usually. But what you can also do is, have you ever heard of Mrs. Dash
No.
salt?
Yeah,
You do? Okay.
I've heard of it. Yes,
It's
not have.
it's a potassium chloride rather than a sodium chloride. So it's salt free, technically sodium free. So that's something you can try as well. Just it's pretty much same flavor, and they have different seasonings as well if you want to try that one out. But again, that's one of those things, like same with salt, just having it in moderation. I know I've said this many times before, but all of it is just to have it in balance and just to portion out correctly.
Cool. Yeah, I think we have a salt substitute, and I think it was potassium chloride, and then
Mhm.
the big word potassium chloride kind of scared me away from it. So you don't feel like it's anything like harmful in that, or okay, yeah, I
No,
was kind of
no,
intimidated by
it's
the
fine. I
word.
mean, salt is sodium chloride, so same, just different
Right, it's
element.
just a big word like yeah, like
Yeah,
yeah, water is yeah, hydrogen two peroxide or whatever that yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you put it that way, anything sounds scary.
Exactly. Yeah, you should see like the chemical breakdown of a banana. It looks terrifying.
It's
It's
just
kind
a
of
banana,
funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
So another recipe ingredient that's super common is like palm sugar. And
Mhm.
I was wondering, like, so we've been using stevia and like Truvia, the 75% fewer calories version, but I don't know anything about palm sugar. So maybe I don't know, maybe we could be using it, or is it just too many simple calories, or I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, I think it depends on how much of the palm sugar is in the recipe. If especially if this is something that you're having quite often, because palm sugar, I believe, is just like similar to cane sugar or brown sugar. Like all sugars boil down to the same thing. It's just glucose. Um, So I'm assuming that palm sugar is similar. It just boils down to glucose as well. Stevia and Truvia are fine. I think they're okay ingredients to use. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is that they are more uh, like they're sweeter in the same density and different densities than regular sugar. So you just want to
Mhm.
make sure you might have to make an adjustment for the recipe for how
Yeah.
much you use. You're probably going to want to use less than regular sugar.
Mhm.
But it's an organic, like it doesn't bind a receptor like maybe Splenda. One of my professors said she didn't like Splenda because she thought it like bound to receptors and something about like
Hmm.
that bothered her. I don't know what it was about that bothered her, but I guess caffeine in coffee binds to the adenosine receptors, so it kind of tricks your body into thinking it's time to wake up. But I don't know I love coffee, and so I don't know what's wrong with that. But do you have a preference on a sweetener or?
Not particularly. Honestly, I like to use honey or maple syrup in most of my things
Oh, I
that I
love honey.
sweeten.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
favorite.
But it's not that it's any better than like sugar or brown sugar or any worse. Like they're just glucose. They're just simple forms of glucose. So again, this is one of those things in moderation, totally fine. Like I'll add a half a teaspoon of maple syrup to a smoothie or something, and doesn't make a difference really. Um, but that's kind of what I usually go for is just those sweeteners, and they do have like a tiny bit of benefits as well. I like to use local honey because I've had allergies, so kind of depends on what you're using it for too.
Yeah, I probably need to do that too because I have allergies. Yeah, so
Hmm.
that so you think that's for real when, like, if it has the ingredients, because my allergist gave me everything I'm allergic to in doses for a while. He says your body like starts to learn like what is just environmental and not really a pathogen, so it
Hmm.
leaves it alone and doesn't flare up to it. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. No, I am a big believer in like if you're exposed to the pollen that you're around, you're less likely to be allergic to it. So that's why like honey's awesome. Even if you like to take like I know that some people even like to just have local pollen in their in their meals. I don't know if I go that far. I don't know how good it tastes, but
I've had it in
some people do
capsules
that.
before. Yeah, I asked
Yeah.
my biology professor, I was like, so what's good about this? And he's like, maybe protein? I don't know. But yeah, it makes sense. I didn't, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know if there's really the chemical makeup of pollen. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. If you can buy it at GNC in capsule form and it says bee pollen, and then I was just curious, like, what it was good for. And he's like, he didn't know either. Like, but maybe that makes sense. I never thought of, like, possibly
Yeah.
training your immune system.
Yeah,
Um,
from an immune perspective, yeah. I don't know from like a macro or micro perspective.
So let's see. Oh, I had another question. So, like, I know a lot of people Google, like, if you go to a Thai restaurant and you want to order something healthy, do you have any recommendations, or have you done that? Or, yeah.
Yeah, so my favorite things here, I really like, and this might be like basic, but I really like cashew chicken stir fries. That's like one of my
Ah,
favorites.
that's good
Um,
too.
Yeah, it's so good.
'cause- yeah, it's so good, and I find that it's really balanced. It has good protein, and chicken's a lean protein. It has a lot of veggies in there. The places that I go to at least put a lot of veggies in there, and then you get starch on the side with your rice. So I find that it's a super balanced plate, and that's what I'm looking for when I'm going to a restaurant or when I'm building a plate. I'm always just looking for balance. So protein, starch, produce, kind of what we talked about earlier too. So always looking for some color in there. So I usually go for that one. I might do like a Thai green salad on the side if I'm really feeling like getting some color. But that's usually my go-to thing that I get.
Okay, yeah, that's one of my favorites too. For the rice, would you recommend brown rice as a healthier choice if they have it? Like, depending
Yeah,
on
I would say, yeah, brown rice is a great choice to add, especially it's higher in fiber than white rice. Again, that goes back to that refinement thing that we talked about. So white rice is just more refined than brown rice. So brown rice has more of the bran on it, the bran germ. So that will just be higher in fiber, which is great. But if you don't have brown rice and it's just white rice, there's still some fiber in there, and white rice is still like a okay option for a starch. So that's okay too.
cool.
Mhm.
Let's see. Oh, I know what I was going to ask. Are there any recipes or dishes at a Thai restaurant that you would tell people to avoid, or that are like less healthy?
Um, I have to think about it. Maybe like are there many fried options? I'm not sure. Usually
More,
I know what I'm already
they
gonna
do
get on my
some,
menu.
yeah, it's more like they do some deep fry, like whole
Mhm.
fish deep fry, but then like they make a sauce on the side or make the sauce on top of the fish.
Mm.
Um,
Like the deep fried tilapia is pretty universal. When I was in Thailand, I got that so many times, and then I mean it's deep fried, but it was one of the only things that I knew what it was. Like a lot of stuff was so foreign to me. I was intimidated. So
Mhm.
like it was the same everywhere I went. There was like a tilapia, it had slices down the side, it was fried. Yeah, so I was like, okay, I know what I'm getting. I know I can eat it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was, but
Interesting.
yeah, it
Yeah, I
was
would
interesting.
say fried foods like that are not an everyday food. They're, every once in a while food. Like fried noodles, especially if you're having like fried noodles with a higher fat red meat, and not many veggies on it. So that can kind of lead to like a high fat, high carb meal that doesn't have
mhm.
very much balance there. So that would be one thing that I would just, keep an eye out for.
Okay. What about like frying? Like I fried salmon in
Mhm.
canola oil, like maybe a quarter inch of canola oil because I wanted the skin crispy. So if is that like take away, is it make it a little healthier, or is fried still fried?
So it won't take away, it doesn't negate from the meal that you're having. It just adds a little bit more fat there. So I would just say, you're still getting a good source of protein with your salmon, and then it's just going to be higher in fat. But that just gives you an opportunity to balance it out too with just some more fiber and some produce and some color.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and then we had a whole bunch of oil, and we felt bad about throwing it all out, and so then we made chicken wings with it, and it was like horrible and oily, and we decided we'll use the air fryer, I guess, whenever we can too to
Yeah,
cut
air
down on
fryers
the
are great.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think air fryers are like an amazing invention.
Yeah, the chicken wings alone, I mean, like just for that, it takes like 18 minutes as opposed to an hour, and then
Mhm.
yeah, you don't have all the oil too, so it's like faster and anyways, yes, way better.
Yeah, I love air fryers.
So I know you have another interview with someone. Oh wait, Maud has some more questions.
I
Sorry.
have one more question.
That's okay.
I know that when we cook, the heat kind of like takes away the nutrients from the food. So
Mhm.
if we can't avoid like to eat raw vegetables or raw food or whatever, so if we have to pick like which method that you would say would keep the nutrients in the food as much as it can, like boiling,
Hmm.
steam, or fried, or stir fried.
Yeah, good question. I would say steaming is great, or if you've ever blanched anything, blanching is awesome. It's just a really quick process. You quickly steam steam vegetables, and then you'll put it in cold water, and that kind of helps to retain the nutrients.
Okay.
So I really like to blanch things like green beans, broccoli. It keeps them more crisp as well. I find that they're nicer in recipes like that, or just on their own too. So I would say like those two will keep the most nutrients in.
Okay. Awesome.
Mhm.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
of
What
course.
about stir frying? Speaking of that, is that generally pretty good or?
Yeah, and there's I won't say that there's like a bad way to like it's not like it's going to take away so many nutrients that it's not beneficial anymore. The only time that that happens is like I came from like a Southern family, like lots of Alabama deep South roots, and we'll make green beans that have been on the stove for like hours and hours and hours, and they are pretty much like brown mush. Those don't have any nutrients left.
Okay.
um, but but I will say like if you're cooking it for 5-10 minutes, like it's totally fine. Roasting veggies is great as well. So it's not like it's taking away that much of the nutrition when you're cooking them, but if you want to like have as much nutrition as possible, I would say quick cooking, things like blanching, steaming are great. But sauteing is awesome too. I think sauteing is totally fine, like stir frying.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I like to roast a lot of my veggies too. I find that it's really easy to do like a bulk veggie roast in the oven, and then you've got veggies all week.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. And then you can put it
Mhm.
in Tupperware and take it with you to work. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Do you have any other like topics that you wanted to talk about or?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything that we went over in our questions. Did you guys have any other questions for me?
Yeah, I can't think of any. I'm sure we'll keep thinking of them like for all eternity, but
Yeah.
for now, for now, not so much. But
That's okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I always find that that happens, but
yeah.
that's all right. Well, thank you so much for having me on. Great
Thanks
questions,
for
guys.
joining us.
Of course. I hope you have a fantastic evening, rest of your day,
You
and
too.
You too. Thanks,
we'll be in
Kelsey.
touch. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
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 That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's still running. We
Yeah.
save it.
Thanks.